Okay. What's your name and where are you from?
My name's Brittany Blaire, and I am from Salt Lake City, Utah.
Why did you feel the need to move to Nashville to further your musical career?
Um, I felt like it was the hub of country music and songwriting. My dad's a musician, and back in the 70s, when rock and roll was really big in LA, he took the family and moved to LA, and that's where I was born, and moved back to Utah when I was 8 and a half. So I just kind of followed his example, and just, that's where music is, that's where I go.
Tell me about some of the things that you left behind or the sacrifices you made to move to Nashville.
Oh gosh, my family. I miss them every day. All of my nieces and nephews, they're all growing up. I get pictures and like Snapchats of them being all precious and cute, but I get to miss those moments with, like, my nephew just won a football championship, and I miss that. And so that's really hard because I've always been really involved in my family's lives and just really close with them, and so I miss them a lot.
Is there anything besides your family you miss?
Um, Utah's seasons, those mountains and the snow, it's beautiful. I love Utah, so probably if I find success out here, I might go back to Utah a bit and then come back and forth, so that's probably the plan.
When you got to Nashville, what was the first thing you did when you got here to help further your musical career?
I wrote, and then just made connections as soon as I possibly could. I started looking up songwriter nights and how we could do that, and I actually came across Nashville Ear on Craigslist and signed up for it, and I was so excited. And that was probably, that and Commodore Grill were the first few songwriter nights, and from those I made some connections with other songwriters, and through my job I met Tom Botkin, who's one of the co-writers of Bonfire with Craig Morgan, and he and I wrote some, and we're going to write some more. And from him I met Mike Rogers, who's Craig Morgan's drummer, and he's produced my recent EP, and so it's just been constant networking and meeting people, and as much as I can write when I'm not teaching.
When you got to Nashville, did you have a plan?
When I first got to Nashville, no plans in my mind. I didn't even have a place to live. I didn't have a job lined up. I'm a teacher, so I left at the end of the school year, got my summer paychecks, tried to figure something out in the summer, couldn't find a teaching job out here, and so I ended up nannying for like a minute until I realized that was not for me. And then I started serving at Opryland, and I had no idea how the music business worked. I didn't have any connections of anybody out here. So it was a big jump and a leap of faith, but so far so good. It's paid off. I like it.
Have you found what you expected you would find when you got to Nashville?
When I got to Nashville, I didn't really know what to expect, and so I wasn't as well educated on how things worked out here, so I was really pleasantly surprised with how supportive people are out here. Other musicians, other songwriters, they all want everybody to succeed, and so that has been really inspirational to me, and so it has exceeded any expectations that I may have had.
How does the music scene in Nashville compare to the music scene in Utah?
The music scene in Nashville is very different from that in Utah. Nashville has music everywhere you go. Any honky-tonk, any bar you go into, there's music. Any restaurant you go into, they probably have music on a certain night. Motorcycle stores, have music playing in them. Like it's insane. And in Utah, it's there are a lot of people that sing, but it's more it's a different culture. It's a different art out there. It's not so much songwriting and singing. It's more like hip and trendy things that they're just constantly changing out there. And it's more of a craft that you can hone and focus on out here.
Give me some of the pros and cons about moving to Nashville. Some of the really good things and really not so good things about living in Nashville.
The pros and cons of moving to Nashville, man. When I moved here, the pros were all the music everywhere. The cons, not knowing anybody, not having any family out here, not having any friends. I really had to search to find myself and what I really wanted out of life and out of music. And I moved out here when I was 28 years old. I had just been through a divorce a year before that, and I really had to do some soul searching, and that the cons became more of a pro in my life. So.
Well, besides Nashville being a mecca for music, was there anything that you found out here to be more appealing or interesting that really didn't have much to do with music in Nashville? Do you really cool stuff here?
When I moved here, aside from the music, I really have enjoyed the Southern culture. It's slower moving. It's not as competitive in any sense of the word. For school, life, everything, it just seems more laid back, and I'm more comfortable in that environment than in the high-paced, psychotic, big city environment. So even though Nashville is essentially a big city, it's like the country, so it's really refreshing.
What would you tell other people who are sitting at home and thinking, oh, I'd love to move to Nashville? You got any advice for them about before they come down here to think about?
If they want to move to Nashville, I would say do it. I don't regret anything about moving to Nashville. Advice for them, just be prepared for surprises. There's a lot of misnomers about Nashville because of the television show Nashville. People think, oh, I'll just move to Nashville, someone will discover me while I'm singing on the street and it'll be amazing. And that's not how it happens. And it's a lot of hard work and a lot of persistence that needs to happen. And so if you're willing to put in the hard work and the extra effort, then Nashville is where you should be.
Are you happy you moved? Are you happy you moved here?
Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely happy that I moved to Nashville. Like I said, no regrets.
Let's talk about some of the successful things that's happened to you since you've been here. What are some of the successes you can point to?
Successes for me, and for anyone, success is a different meaning. For me, successes have been writing with Tom Botkin. I am a high school drama teacher, and finally getting my own high school drama program was a big success for me, even though it has nothing to do with music. It happened here in Nashville. I've taught different students, and I've seen success in that. And for me, musically, the success, I've written more here than I ever have in my entire life. Before I moved to Nashville, I had probably written 3 songs in my whole life. I didn't even know I really was a songwriter until I moved here and started it and started getting feedback that I was pretty good, so I got more confidence in that. And so that in and of itself has been a major success for me. But the connections that I made, the people that I've met, those are pretty big successes to me.
Tell me a little bit about the songwriting community, all you guys who hang out together and go to all these clubs and stuff.
The songwriting community out here is pretty unique. Different types of musicians out here. There are the musicians that play downtown, and then there are the musicians that are songwriters, and they focus on songwriting. And those that are songwriters, and they're both great people, but the songwriting group is this really cohesive familial unit where, I mean, you could go to a songwriter night here and become best friends with somebody that you shared a round with, or that was in a round after you that you really dug their sound, so you want to talk to them about it, and then you guys start talking about music and you have all these things in common, and so you just meet people that you have a lot in common with, and it's a great feeling accepted, feeling welcomed, and for you to be accepting and welcomed. So I like it.
If you had to do it over, would you still have moved to Nashville? You had a time machine, you could go back. Would you still do it again?
If I had a time machine to go back and do it all over again, absolutely, in a heartbeat. I was scared to death to move here, but it was an adventure that I am grateful for.
Good deal. What's the coolest thing about being a songwriter?
One of the coolest things about being a songwriter in Nashville is just being able to hone that craft and share it. And the best thing for me recently is being able to see my songs be fully produced with banjo, dobro, guitar, drums, bass, and hear a recording of it and see it come to life. And that is really cool because you don't have the session players that you do in other states that you do in Nashville. So the quality of your music coming to life out here is beyond anywhere else. I'm like Chandler and Friends comedy. I'm nervous.
I like you when you're nervous.
This song I wrote with Jim Hewitt and Norm MacDonald. Long gone. Cherry red lips like she saw in a magazine. Looking way too hot to have barely turned 15. Bobby's at the door while Daddy does a background check. Mom said you ain't going anywhere dressed like that. And the screen door slammed like a shotgun just to give him a piece of her mind. Motors revving so high, needles at the red light, you better just step aside. She's long gone, long gone. Feeling more like a woman than she ever had before. Yeah. She's long gone, long gone. Ain't Daddy's little girl, can't tell her what to do no more. Hit the road, had a baby girl at 17. There were mouths to feed, clothes to wash, then Bobby started getting real mean. He stumbled through the door for the last time when he saw that her bags were packed. And Bobby yelled, you ain't going anywhere, get on back. But then the screen door slammed like a shotgun just to give him a piece of her mind. Baby's in the backseat, if they got some both feet, better just step aside. She's long gone, long gone. Feeling more like a woman than she ever had before, yeah. She's long gone. Ain't Daddy's little girl, can't tell her what to do anymore. She had no place to go. Mom and Daddy said come back home.
You can stay here till you get back on your feet. And the days turn into years, and in the worst of all their fears, Mama's little baby girl was now a teen. And she had really lips like she saw in a magazine. Looking way too hot to have barely turned 16. Now Jimmy's at the door while Grandpa does a background check. Mama said you ain't going anywhere dressed like that. And the screen door slammed like a shotgun just to give him a piece of her mind. Goes around, it's gonna come around. Oh, you better just step aside, 'cause she's long, long gone, long gone, feeling more like a woman than she ever had before. Oh yeah, she's long gone, long gone. Ain't daddy's little girl, can't tell her what to do. Ain't mama's little girl, can't tell her how to choose. Ain't daddy's little girl, can't tell her what to do no more.
At some point in my career, I'm going to regret being mean to her. Brittany Blaire, everybody! We've only had 2 songwriters so far, and we're already going insane. This is really, really good. Let's keep it going, shall we?